What if you could save your mind the same way you save photos on your phone? Imagine never losing a single memory, a single piece of knowledge, a single part of your story. For centuries, humanity has dreamed of immortality. And today science is beginning to flirt with a possibility as bold as it is unsettling. Brain backup. What once seemed like science fiction is now discussed in laboratories, startups, and even at philosophy tables. On this journey, you will understand how this idea is being studied, the real advances that already exist, the ethical dilemmas it carries, and, most importantly, what it could mean for your life. When we talk about brain backup, the first reaction is usually disbelief. After all, how could something as complex as the human mind be stored in a digital system? The proposal is to copy, map, and transfer all the information that makes up our consciousness, memories, experiences, skills, emotions, into an external medium like a gigantic hard drive. Imagine the brain as a biological computer. Neurons would be the components that process information, and synapses the connections that make data flow. A brain backup would be like copying all that data to the cloud, but on an infinitely more complex scale. Today, we are used to storing documents and photos on digital services. Now imagine if the same process could be applied to the contents of your mind. The challenge is that it's not enough to copy raw data. The mind is not a simple file, but a dynamic network in constant motion, capturing not only the information, but also the relationships between them, the how and why of each memory. Existence is a monumental obstacle. Even so, companies and laboratories are already seriously discussing how to translate the language of neurons into the digital universe. For some scientists, understanding this code is the first step toward achieving an unprecedented form of immortality. The human brain is considered the most complex system in the known universe. We have about 86 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others, forming trillions of synapses. This colossal network generates thoughts, emotions, and memories. Thinking about brain backup means, first and foremost, mapping this structure with microscopic precision. It's like trying to digitize a library where each book connects to millions of others through invisible passages. Research such as the Human Connectome project has already begun to create detailed maps of brain connections. But this is only the surface. A more tangible example is Neuralink, Elon Musk's company, which is developing brain-machine interfaces capable of recording and interpreting neural signals in real time. The initial idea is to help people with motor disabilities control computers or prosthetics with their thoughts. But indirectly, this type of technology paves the way for something even bolder: the massive collection of neural data. There are also initiatives like Nectome, which seeks to preserve brains in ultra-high resolution, with the hope that in the future, we may be able to extract their information and recreate memories. These projects show that, although we are far from transferring a mind to a computer, we already have tools that bring us closer to understanding how this extraordinary machine works. Every memory you hold is written in a chemical and electrical combination. Translating this code into digital language is the great challenge. It's not just about recording, it's also about simulating. After all, we are not static. Memories change, emotions are reconstructed, thoughts adapt. If one day we manage to simulate a human brain on a computer, would that system think, feel, and remember like us? Now imagine a world where the boundaries between biological life and digital existence practically disappear. With brain backup, it would be possible to maintain an active version of a person even after physical death. This, which sounds like a scene from a futuristic series, could have very concrete applications. Think about talking to a deceased loved one who would continue to exist in digital form, preserving memories, mannerisms, and even their way of speaking. Would this be a new way to deal with loss, or just a comforting illusion? Another possibility would be preserving humanity's greatest minds. Imagine accessing a digital version of Einstein explaining his theories in real time, or Shakespeare creating new plays in the 21st century. This kind of recreation could transform education, science, and culture. On a personal scale, the backup could work as an intimate repository. You could revisit any memory from childhood birthdays to meaningful moments of learning and even share those experiences with others. But along with promises come dangers. Digital immortality could deepen inequalities. Who would have access to this technology? Only the wealthiest? Would there be room for everyone, or would eternity be a privilege? Moreover, how would we deal with multiple versions of the same person? Social coexistence, the notion of family, and even the concept of inheritance would need to be reinvented. It's fascinating to imagine never losing memories, but unsettling to think of a society where death is no longer an absolute limit. And here we reach the boundaries and dilemmas. The first big question is, would a backup really be you, or just a copy of your data? If we transfer all your memories into a computer but your physical body ceases to exist, would that digital version have its own consciousness, or would it just be a reflection? This dilemma strikes directly at the concept of identity. Furthermore, ethical dilemmas arise. Who would own the backup? The person, the family, or the company responsible? Could a digital mind be shut down? And what if it didn't want to be erased? These questions resemble debates we already have on a smaller scale, such as cloning and artificial intelligences that imitate human voices and faces. Today, there are already programmers creating chatbots that simulate conversations with deceased people using data from messages, audio, and video. For some, it is a way of keeping memory alive. Others, it distorts the grieving process. Another problem would be security. If memories and thoughts exist in digital format, could they be hacked or manipulated? Imagine someone accessing your most intimate memories and using them against you. Privacy, already fragile in the digital world, would become even more vulnerable. There is also the social question. How would we deal with advice or interactions from someone who, technically, is no longer alive? Would we be prepared to accept the digital presence of those who are gone? Now, think about the direct impact on your life. What would it mean to have a backup of your own brain? You would never lose an important memory again. You could revisit forgotten moments, and even share memories with those you love. Professionals could leave legacies accessible to future generations. Families could preserve their stories forever. Students could consult their learning experiences as if they had an infinite personal library. But there are serious risks. Trusting your most intimate thoughts to a digital system means accepting that they could be accessed, copied, or altered. And how would you feel knowing that a digital copy of you exists somewhere on a server? The promise of never losing who we are sounds tempting, but it could lead us to a world where authenticity and copies dangerously blur. The question is not only whether science will make this possible, but whether we as a society and as individuals really want this kind of immortality. As we reach the end of this reflection, we realize that brain backup is not just a technological issue, it's an existential challenge. We've seen how science has already taken the first steps, explored possible futures, and faced the dilemmas it would bring into our lives. The truth is that, although still distant, this possibility is beginning to take shape. Brain backup may be the key to a new form of immortality, but it may also reveal deep fears about identity, authenticity, and finitude. The lingering question is, are we ready to live in a world where even death can be questioned? And now, I want to hear from you. If you had the chance, would you back up your brain? Would you let a digital version of yourself exist after you were gone? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because this debate only makes sense when shared. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next content. Share this video with someone who would be interested in this discussion. Who knows, in a not-so-distant future, the next password you need to create might be to access yourself.